Chris Sabina with American Outdoor News. I'm here with my friend Larry Weishuhn. Larry, always a pleasure to see you.
Chris, what an absolute pleasure, and I love what you do in the publication, and of course now the podcast as well too.
Yes, sir.
So congratulations on that as well.
Thank you. Now, I want to talk to you. You're very involved with Dallas Safari Club.
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about Dallas Safari Club and why do you donate so much of your time to it?
I've been involved with Dallas Safari Club now since about 1987 in a lot of different capacities, and more recently served on the board of directors of the DSC Foundation, and now serve as a special advisor to that group. But DSC is one of those organizations, it's a shoestring operation in terms of personnel. I think our grand total of 12 or 13 people. Most of the money that comes in, almost all of it goes right back out again as compared to maybe some of the other organizations. There's very little administrative cost involved. But DSC is very much involved in all kinds of wildlife programs in terms of conservation, education, and hunter advocacy here throughout North America. But we also do a fair amount overseas, such as in Africa, in funding anti-poaching operations and funding different projects there. The anti-poaching is a very important part of what we do in Africa, but also we're dealing with the modern day human, if you will, who doesn't have an understanding really of what wildlife management is or why hunting is important. So we deal with a lot of that, and there are policies being created in Africa, and we're fighting those there. And mainly because we want to stop them there before they come here. So DSC is very much a wildlife conservation organization based of memberships across the world, if you will, with chapters. I think we have 13 total chapters right now here in the U.S., and we're growing that. And one of the beauties of the chapters is we're here today at the Northeast chapter.
Now, I know there's two connotations here.
Yes.
One is Dallas.
Yes.
The other is Safari.
Yes.
Now, Dallas Safari Club, it's not just Dallas, and it's not just about an African safari.
No, and you know what? Safari is a term that is a Swahili term, and it means an adventure, a walkabout, if you will. It has nothing really to do with the fact that it's a hunting trip. And generally we go by DSC because people go, well, that's Dallas. Well, Dallas, this organization's been around since about 1982, I think it is.
Okay.
And it's continually growing, but most of our members, and we've got substantial members, I would say that probably 80 to 85% or more will have never gone to Africa and probably don't have any desire to go to Africa. So that safari is a little bit of a wrong connotation, if you will, when you look at it from an African perspective, because primarily it simply means getting out on an adventure. And we got more people that hunt white-tailed deer, hunt turkeys, hunt squirrels, hunt rabbits than by far in terms of membership across North America and really even across the world than do any kind of dangerous big game hunting. Although we do have a few of those. And those folks too play very importantly in terms of conservation and providing dollars to fight some of the problems that we're having in Africa with overpopulation in terms of humans, policies being made by people who have no earthly idea what's actually going on over there.
So, you do DSC
Right.
does as much conservation here in the U.S. and North America as it does overseas.
Oh, we do considerably more actually here in North America than we do anyplace else. One of the beauties of the chapters is, and this being the Northeast chapter, what the deal is with the chapters, they're their own 501c organization.
Yeah.
So our deal with the Dallas, and being part of the Dallas Safari Club or DSC, is that they send DSC a grand total of 5% of their largest fundraiser. Now they have 20 fundraisers. It's just simply 5% of the largest goes to help with administrative costs, such as getting our guy that handles all these things, getting him to travel around, and we'll have him on here in just a little bit. 75% of the money raised, net profit by that organization in that one fundraiser, and they can have several, but it's only one of them, they use to whatever they want to in terms of projects in their area. 20% of it goes to the DSC Foundation, but that 20% that goes to DSC Foundation, the local chapter determines where that money goes to. So when you get right down to it, the chapters are in control of 95% of their income on that one fundraiser. Now, if they have another fundraiser and it comes close, all that money stays with the chapters.
Okay, and I know here in the Northeast chapter, we do quite a bit with local organizations,
Yes.
Youth education, local conservation. We even send some kids to outdoor summer camps
Yes, sir.
as well.
And a lot of the chapters do the same thing. You know, in almost every area there's a pet project that's going on, and it may have to do with 4-H, or it may have to do with a local youth organization, or getting kids into the outdoors. Some of the chapters are very much devoted to getting as many people outdoors as they can, and this chapter is very important to that. From the advocacy perspective, there are problems in this part of the world that these folks here are aware of. Well, when you're a member of DSC, all of a sudden you're not a single voice in this little area. You're a voice heard from throughout the world.
We're
So,
a consortium.
consortium, absolutely, yes, sir.
All right. Well, I appreciate everything you do.
Well, it's a pleasure, and I appreciate being involved with you too, so thank you, Chris.
And we're going to be hearing from Bruce Boroski next.
Yes, sir. Bruce,
about what he does expanding the chapters.
exactly. Bruce is a guy, he is a resource person that is unbelievable, folks. So if you're interested in a chapter, whether it's an existing one or maybe even starting one, he'll be the one you want to talk to. Thank you, sir.
Thanks again.
We love our children. We protect them. We guide them. We prepare them for life in the world. With all that we do, from deep in our hearts, we cannot control all things. Life-threatening illnesses and disabilities affect far too many of our children each year. While we cannot change the circumstance, we can make dreams come true. Dreams to provide hope, to provide spiritual healing and strength, to provide moments of happiness and relief in the hardest of times. We can give a glimmer of light and hope in a time of darkness and despair. Join huntofalifetime.org to help make dreams come true, to provide hope for children with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Hunt of a Lifetime is a non-profit organization fulfilling dreams for hunting and fishing trips to youth 21 and under with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Visit huntofalifetime.org to learn how you can make a difference.
All right, and we're back with Bruce Boroski. He is the chapter liaison,
Chapter Development Manager.
for Dallas Safari Club.
Yes, sir.
Bruce, tell us about how we're growing and what your position is, and how somebody can start a chapter.
Okay. So Dallas Safari Club is growing right now, and that's what we're going to do. Right now we have 13 chapters all throughout the U.S., and we're looking at growing international as well. So what we're doing is my job as chapter leader or manager, development manager, is to start new chapters, but also help the existing chapters, right? And be an asset and a resource to them so they can grow and increase more money. And the biggest difference with DSC compared to some of the others is 75% of the net proceeds from the largest fundraising event stays locally with the chapter. Okay, another 20% of that event, they're able to tell DSC Foundation where they want that money spent. So the foundation has certain causes, there's 5 or 6 of them, but so 95% of that money, the chapter, the board of directors actually decides where they want that money spent. Okay, and each chapter for us, they're their own 501c3 and 501c4. So they're affiliated with DSC, but they don't have to be under DSC, right? So that way they have that ability to choose exactly where they want everything to go.
Well, I want to reiterate the point that Dallas and Safari doesn't necessarily mean that it's limited to Dallas, and it's not limited to being overseas in a safari. I know here in the Northeast chapter, we try to keep all of our focus locally as far as our conservation efforts and our youth education efforts. And I know many of the chapters across the country are of the same state of mind. How many chapters do we have right now?
Right now we have 13 chapters all across the U.S. And now we're looking to grow. DSC has decided that it's time, right? We want to grow, and for us, it's not about DSC. It's exactly like you said. We're here to help locally. Right. So like in the Northeast chapter, and getting youth involved in the education, that's huge, right? So other chapters, it's whether it's education, conservation, or advocacy, and each state's different. Like out in Colorado, with the stuff going on, they're trying to stop mountain lion hunting and cat hunting with the hounds, In Utah, they're talking about trail cameras. So some of that advocacy is really big, and that's where they want to focus on. But other chapters, it's about really helping the youth and getting the youth outdoors. And they're buying track wheelchairs, and they're giving them to the youth that way. And they're getting them outdoors, and they're taking youth on hunts.
Yep.
So the ones that don't have, we take so much for granted that we can see and we can walk and we can do all this. So that money that they're raising is staying right there locally in their community.
Sure. And we could put it towards veterans, wounded veterans. We could put it towards disabled children. We could put it towards anything that's going to help forward our cause of outdoor lifestyle.
Correct, exactly. And even right now, we have one of our chapters that brought it up to us up in the Yukon territory. The Outfitters Association lost the funding, and it's wolf control, right? So the wolves are so bad, they're eating all the moose calves, and so they're struggling. They're like, how do we replace this money? Well, it brought it up to one of our chapters, so we're going to fly up there in April and meet with the Outfitters Association to see what we can do as DSC and as the DSC chapters to help raise money for them, right? So it's truly a team effort here at DSC. It's chapters working together and being able to have that where the chapter says, hey, here's a cause that's important to us. You don't have to go through me to go through headquarters to get approval.
Yep.
As long as it's the board, because they're their own 501c3, as long as that board agrees on it, then they can do that, right? They can write the check to them, and it's still following the mission that DSC has of those three legs. So it's really easy to get going, and then when you start raising locally, and then they can see where that money's going, that's what makes the difference, right? Then people really start giving in, because when you get up tonight and you say, okay, here's where your money went last year. You can see it, right? And the why of it, right? This is why we're all here, why we're doing it. Here's the impact in the community that we're doing, or here's the impact in the country or international, right? Whatever it might be.
So to think globally, we start locally.
Great. Yep, exactly right.
All right. I appreciate your time. We'll be speaking to Frank Herrick, the president of the Northeast chapter, shortly, and we'll be right back.